we have with us one of my, I cannot say my friend because he was my brother's friend. My brother is my guardian who brought me up. He referred me to Shantigiri Ashram. I went there. I had some acquaintance of what Shantigiri Ashram is doing. There I was taken care of by Professor K. Gopinathan Pillai. My brother was very close to Professor Gopinathan Pillai. So my brother is no more now. So most of the time my academic social activities I consider Professor Gopinathan Pillai as my brother who guides me through. And in fact I was reluctant on most of the general topics, lectures, discussions. I only physically go to schools and look at students and speak to them. Even today, if you give me a chance of giving an invited talk to a teachers group and students, immediately I will skip this. I go to students. But Professor Gopinathan Pillai put me into different groups. That's how I went to ashrams in Arunachalam. We travelled together, Thiruvannamalai, the ashram was there, we stayed together in that ashram. He introduced me to a lot of people in philosophy, the stalwarts in India. That's how I know Professor Bhatt, many other people. He made me to go and stay in Shantigiri Ashram at least, I think 3 times or 4 times I went there. Last visit was in 2018. I remember when I went there, one of my friends from Dubai also travelled from Payyanur to be there in Thiruvananthapuram. We had a satsang, we had a beautiful lunch. He takes care of people who comes to Shantigiri. We also met the Swamini in Shantigiri. I had another friend of mine in Shantigiri who is also a great filmmaker, who was very close to my another brother who was heading the forest department. So we used to have long dialogues where understand many aspects of. He made beautiful movies. If you have not seen the movie called Guru, a Malayalam movie, that's a beautiful movie which depicts not that Hindi Guru. The Malayalam Guru is the story of a person who is blind. That blindness shows many other aspects can be seen, philosophical aspects. That all starts from the ashram where Professor Gopinathan Pillai is staying. Probably one of the largest structure for meditation hall, the big lotus, that is there in Thiruvananthapuram. So if you look at Shantigiri, that is where it is. I was there in their schools. I spoke to most of the sannyasis there. Most of the dialogues we had, lot of discussions we had, many conferences, education, some initiative on cultural heritage, part of looking at Hinduism, religion. So I was introduced to different aspects. Generally I don't speak, I like to reflect on as a commentator, or maybe that is what the role which I play. But I had probably the largest number of hours where I listened to series of lectures could be with Professor Gopinathan Pillai. Recently I was also introduced to Dilip ji, and you know that resulted in my class of Bhagavad Gita. So if you look at in the recent past, one person who made my activity global, international, it is this great brother, eldest brother of mine, who actually was giving a hand holding for me. I am so thankful to you for that, and this is probably the first time when I am in calling him for a talk, because he called me many times. So these discussions are also for that, because I worked with many number of people, spectrum of different subjects. So I thought all that assimilates into one focus what India needs. And I'm sure all that what I did for last few years Professor Gopinathan Pillai knows, and he will be able to say where we have to go further. Not in theoretical. I always believe we can do something very, very specific as an action item which can draw out of this. He knows I am always for that. He appreciates that also. So I am sure he is going to give a lot of. I don't have questions at all because he understands. All my questions are in him. So I am sure we will listen. Maybe another 27 minutes we will listen, or maybe 30 minutes we will listen. Then any one of you could ask a lot of questions to him. So it's open to you. So welcome you, Professor Gopinathan Pillai, my brother. Thank you for.
So thank you.
Yeah. What India needs? That is the question. Very specific.
So, let me extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. T.P. Shashkumar. So you have stated a lot of, you brought in a lot of past memories also. And I am also immensely thankful to you because unlike my other colleagues, a spectrum of colleagues in philosophy, spirituality, etc., unlike them, being basically a scientist, your approach always I like. So that is why I always take you to different platforms where we can share these, critical approaches which are most essential in knowledge generation, that. So that way I am highly thankful to you. And I always value your not only friendship but brotherhood. So I also remember your elder brother who left us a few years back. He was with me several times in the ashram guest house, helping us in formulating projects, and along with the former CDS director, very renowned economist Narayanan Nair. So it was a great time, great time. So I'm thankful to you for giving me an opportunity to share a few of my observations or ideas or casual thoughts on this specific topic, what India needs. Because you suggested. So over the last several days, we had a variety of presentations made by scholars belonging to different streams of thoughts and walks of life. And therefore, this way it is very different platform, bringing people belong to different streams, even culture, arts, right? Such people belong to all such the streams are brought into the country. So in this respect today, I will make a brief presentation on what India needs as a nation, a society, and a people, what India needs. Because there are different visualizations, perspectives, innumerable. If you ask 100 people, they may answer in 100 ways what India needs, according to their accumulated wisdom, knowledge, experiences, perception of India. But I understand that it is my knowledge. Till a few years ago, India was gifting to the world its a great treasure house of knowledge. So we know that all the foreigners came to India in search of its abundance of wealth. So such a country, today when we look at that country, we have a very different scenario. Referring to the greatness or uniqueness of India, Max Muller stated, this observation I will read out. If I were to look over the whole world to find out the country most richly endowed with all the wealth, power and beauty that nature can bestow, in some parts a very paradise on earth, I should point to India. If I were asked under what sky the human mind has most fully developed some of its choicest gifts, has most deeply pondered on the greatest problems of life, and has found solutions of some of them which well deserve the attention, even those who have found solutions of some of them which well deserve the attention, even of those who have studied Plato and Kant, I should point to India. So like that, Max Muller was giving this lecture to the British civil servants at the Cambridge University under the title, What Can India Teach Us? So Max Muller came to India with a different objective. We know that he came here not to support India, but to find out the ways and the means to subjugate India culturally and materially. But after studying the great wisdom of this land, partly he turned out to be an admirer of Indian culture, tradition, wisdom, etc. So such a country, today we find that country in a very different way, both materially and fallen state. So what will explain this state of India? So we find that this, because very often I have noticed Shashumar sir also make a critiquing of often highlighting the past glory of India. Just highlighting the past glory of India, what it can bring in our day-to-day practical life. It is a very pertinent point to be addressed, because all the philosophers and the scholars in India, they go on glorifying India's past heritage, saying that we had such things in our ancient time, our grandfathers were like that, we had such property, this and that, just glory. But today, suppose that I am in a very different pathetic situation, what is the use of glorifying all these things? But I am not glorifying, I am just highlighting that amazing way of life or wisdom this India had. Because why? Because I am now stationed in an institution. I am closely associated with an institution for the last 30 years, Shantigiri Ashram, where this ancient wisdom, this dried out ancient wisdom is restored and regenerated. It is the authenticity of my, whatever I speak to you. I not just after reading the ancient scriptures, I am just repeating. I am not just repeating. Because in Shanti, Guru never subscribed to any of the scriptures, any of the streams of existing spirituality or religion. Guru never relied upon, did not even read, because Guru was in its formal sense. He was not that way literate. Though he went to school at the age of 9, in a country school, he was there for a few years only. He did not study. Though we call Ashtan, what is the master? Country school master, yeah. Though he was insisting, Guru never studied. He just looked at this teacher and kept on laughing. So that way he was not formally learned. So therefore, I find that from this Guru, we find that all this new knowledge system, or this original wisdom tradition of India, we find that it is rejuvenated here. Not only that wisdom tradition, knowledge tradition was rejuvenated in accordance with the dharma of this yuga, this time. This time concept is most important in Guru's teaching, because whole Indian philosophy is centered around on time concept, Manvantara time calculus, or the doctrine of Yuga Dharma. Why, despite all the efforts of the past Guru Acharyas and prophets, human race or humanity is like this? If you ask, in the light of the teachings of the Guru, I will tell you that all these past Gurus or prophets they did not get to reveal the fundamental causations that led to a greatest mistake in Indian spiritual wisdom that took place if yugas back. That error continued, and that error was continued, and all these systems, Vedanta systems or philosophical systems that emerged later, course, were based on that. Therefore, whatever they preached, sacrificed, could not raise human consciousness or to restore that lost harmony between the supreme and humanity. So that such a great revelation and knowledge system is here in Shantigiri. Based on that way of life, it is most important. In Shantigiri, based on Guru's this new spirituality, a lineage, a parampara is coming up. A parampara means people belonging to different religions. In the sannyasa parampara of Shantigiri, there are Christians. The president of Shantigiri Sannyasa Sangam recently died. He was from a very noble Christian family. Enough Christians, people from Christian denominations are sannyasis. Islam, Muslims are devotees, have their houses built around us. From Chama to, a Brahmin, so that way, a new lineage, people from different parts of the world are here. They all have united in the striving to make a new human world order or social order. And a new way of life is coming to the all these units, material workplaces. We have the very biggest Ayurveda center. We have approximately 100 Ayurveda hospitals across India. We have the largest production center in Trivandrum, Ayurveda production center. We never advertise, but we are unable to meet the demands of the people. Such a medicine, in total prayer and sacrifice, the devotees to prepare here. We have garments unit, wood industry, yet everything is here, because the theory is that, or the visualization is that these whatever we preach and practice in a practical material. So these workplaces have been created here to do the karma here, do the karma as a prayer to God or as a service to Guru. Then only a new work culture, because we lost this. So we go to factories, we go to our work only in the hope of earning our livelihood. We don't have any commitment to the receivers of our service. Whatever we produce, we are not in the prayer that this should be benefited to whoever consume it. In Shandagiri, each and every devotee do this. They are doing all this in the prayer, that whatever they do, all these medicines, or everything, whatever they do, it should benefit, contribute to the virtue of all those who are receiving it. So that way, a new work culture and people around some 3,000 families are around the ashram here in Trivandrum itself. Then all the parts of India, Shandagiri has got devotees, and that way a new culture, a new knowledge system, not subscribing to any of these traditions of Hindu society, but it is a great refreshing step to refresh or to restructure or to transform the Indian Rishi tradition. Because Indian tradition was based on, rooted in that Rishi culture, Vedic culture. So later we find, with the eclipse of this great knowledge system, with the drying up of this great Atmajnana system, we find in the post-Vedic period, we find the emergence of the condensation of the society, social condensation, emergence of caste system. It was a turning point in Indian society. It was caste system which destroyed the dynamism of Indian society, which bifurcated Indian society into hundreds of small islands, and the social evolution was arrested. Social evolution was arrested. So that way we find the decline of Indian society in all aspects. Moreover, we find that the majority of the people were denied access to knowledge, wisdom. They were treated as the animal way, and they grew like that in all the Indian villages. That now we are just lamenting of this poor people like that. But what is the root cause? So the aberration, deviation in our own religion, Hinduism, in our own religion, caused or contributed to all these decline. So that way great history is there. The paucity of time, I don't go into that. Therefore, such a very meticulous analysis of Indian spiritual, philosophical, social history is there in Shandagiri. And based on the revelations that the Guru received, so Guru says that whatever I received is from that supreme light. That is why Guru did not subscribe to anything, but Guru received, God revealed everything from that supreme light. Based on that, a new knowledge system, a new parampara, a new everything is coming up in Shandagiri. Therefore, that is why I say that then when we think of what India needs, I can tell you that so India needs knowledge empowerment, real knowledge empowerment, because we as an individual, when we make a choice of our needs, so we usually say that our children, they are all very well educated, they have high exposure towards the outside world, they are highly educated. Now they are matured enough to make their own decisions, to find out their own partners, and to choose their own way of life. all the so-called our educated people keep on saying like that. But you say, but they have a very limited period of historical experience in their knowledge. Very limited period of within that limited period of experience, we are making this because when we make a choice, when we choose our needs, goals in life, what is the basis criteria on which we will make these choices? What is the benchmark? How can we know what is there in store for us after, what is the repercussions of these choices that we make in every walk of life? Modern Western civilization made all their choices based on their instrumental rationality, intelligence, rational thinking. All their decisions were made on that instrumental rationality and human intelligence. They despised, they kept away all these wisdom, traditional knowledge or Eastern knowledge systems as highly, very conservative or something against human progress. But now, when we take stock of the wisdom accumulated over the last more than 300 years of experience, human efforts in the field of, or human striving efforts to achieve happiness, prosperity and peace. When we take stock of the situation, today what do we find? Happiness never came. Prosperity came to islands, certain islands in the world. That prosperity made them mad. And they are now they are the people who are going to destroy this world. Because they don't have a vision. They don't have any vision of life. They don't have any of the subtle process of these cosmic realities. They don't have any deep wisdom of human life and its process. How this human life evolved over thousands and thousands of years. What are the subtle powers? When season changes, our body system changes. Those who have some illness, diseases, it is aggravated. See, everything, the solar systems, zodiacs, how the influence of zodiacs on human life. Now, because these ancient knowledge systems are half developed, these are all half developed. Therefore, these are not right or met to the total extent. But there are tremendous wisdom and experiences in all these. But sidelining all these Oriental wisdoms, we find the march of Western society. Now, the greatest challenge to humanity is posed by Western developmentalism. So, in the future, the artificial intelligence is going to be ultimate and the final destruction that will come upon human being. With artificial intelligence, Guru once stated in one of our Guru Vanis, in future, because of science, there will be a great calamity that will be caused by modern science. With that, people will distance from science. A great calamity will occur in future. So if we look at the direction in which modern science and technology develops, we find that tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we are heading towards a great calamity. So it is one scenario. Another scenario, we find that spirituality has, or the religion has caused tremendous calamities or problems in Indian society. We find that we are not, the younger generation, they are not supporting, or they don't have any positive, orientation towards religion and spirituality most, because they misunderstand Indian spirituality with these aberrations and deviations that occurred in the last several centuries. This caste system, dehumanized caste system, all the social evil, superstitious belief systems, practices. See the Indian villages, lower caste, what are they doing in the name of spirituality and religion? This is during the modern generation. And modern generation is misunderstanding Indian spirituality. Therefore, but we have to retrieve, recover, rediscover the great strands of that richness, and we have to rejuvenate in accordance with the present time. It is what is done in Shantigiri. It is what is done in Shantigiri. With the present spirit of the time, science is to be developed in accordance with this present spirit. But when we develop this science, as I said, who make these choices? Who can tell you this way you should go? Only who has traversed all these paths. Such a person alone can tell us this way you should go, because he has realized, experienced, traversed different ways in the past innumerable births. Because myself and Shashumar sir, or our Balakrishnan sir, we are all at different realms as far as our personality development, as far as our spiritual strength and everything is concerned. What makes this difference? So this we have the same base system, blood building, but the inner self, in terms of inner self, we are all at different levels of evolution. This evolution is to be, this is consciousness, human consciousness. We are at different levels of human consciousness, or evolutionary ladder of human consciousness. And this only such highly evolved Atmajnanis, great gurus, not all the, whomever we meet, we come across in this cloth or this, we call them guru, this and that, we misunderstand that they are all gurus and they all can lead us. No, this is the greatest misunderstanding. Only such great master souls who come with that ordinance, with that authority, only such great, highly evolved, fully evolved Atmajnanis can guide again humanity to greatness. Such an Atmajnani, greatest Kalangara Guru was the Navajyoti Sri Karunagara Guru of Shantigiri. And that way, a new beginning in material life and spiritual life is coming up in Shantigiri. And you can ask, I have a lot of other things to share with you, but therefore my contention is that in the present scenario, we need to have this knowledge, education. What sort of education? Not this material education alone, not this scientific education alone. We should have real education, the education empowerment of the people. This education empowerment, real education empowerment will make people eligible to select their needs and choices. Their goals they can select. Once they are empowered, spiritually empowered, then only they can make this distinction of right and wrong. Otherwise, whatever gives sensual pleasures, they will misunderstand as something great in life. Because we are at the bottom level of our consciousness, largest majority of the people. Our consciousness is not at all raised because there has been no guidance in our society. Guidance of self-styled gurus, sannyasis, and spiritual masters who taught us superstitious belief systems, practices, and they sought to take away our riches and money. Therefore, my contention is that we should have that, we should rediscover that lost wisdom tradition of India, which was against religion, caste, race, and gender. The rishis, great Atmajnani gurus, they addressed humanity. They addressed each and every human being according to their abilities and disabilities, and they sought to elevate their consciousness to higher planes. They only directed them, guided them. There was no division among them. So now you can, it is I just remain. I don't know what I could present before you. All scattered thought. Please, you can
It
ask me
was
something.
it was a nice exposition of different views. As Professor Gopinathan Pilla sir knows that my view slightly changes in most of the discussions, basically because I look at the objective scope, where it happened, when it happened, why it happened. You started with Max Muller. You must understand, or maybe you know that, maybe most of the people know, he was the person who founded the Western Academy, the field of Indian studies. He was the person who could understand Sanskrit little bit probably, and it is almost 200 years back. Maybe 200 years back, yes, 1850. He was a man of Cambridge, though he was a German basically. He was an agent of, if I want to use that word, probably it is not right, so I am not using. He said, India is a nice place to cultivate Christianity. It is much better than probably Greece and Rome. This is what he told when about India once upon a time. And if you say Max Muller told India is the best place, yes, it is the best place for cultivating what they want to cultivate. So if you look at it, he came here, and I think it was in 1910. I studied Max Muller because I understand most of the Indian heritage. Many people take credit of saying Max Muller told great about India. In what context he told should be understood. Actually, he was a student of occult science and cult, the sects. And he found these are great in India. And if you want to study that, probably this is wonderful place. Nothing wrong. If you look at religious practices India had during that time, those time when he came, he would have been given a picture of that. Therefore, his intention was to write one book soon after that. So next year, 1911, he published his books on India. And he said India is a beautiful place. For what? If we are not making our Indianism, the Indian religion, the Veda study to the Hindu, only it is reserved to some of the people, the highest people, then the rest of the India is the nice place for them too, because it's like you are not cultivating many land, so any item you can cultivate because it's a too fertile land where it is not even exposed to any of the cultivation. In that context, what Max Muller told is correct. So I don't take Max Muller as a positive man as far as India is concerned, because we are talking about what happened 200 years back. And we should not take, I think I should not take pride of Max Muller unless I am educated in the other way. From what literature, what I wrote, I cannot accept any statement what Max Muller told us something very authentic and great about India. It was not great about India. Actually, it was talking for his business. That's a wonderful place. Number one. Number two, we had a lot of religious problems. But it is not that India was not united. I think it is Chanakya if you read. I did not read Chanakya, but what I read was, probably I have seen the serial which came, which was Doordarshan. Beautifully I was listening to that plenty of times. One, to improve my Hindi. Second one is to listen to that beautiful, dramatic, one of the best serial which came to Doordarshan was that. If any one of you have not seen, that is what you should see. When Alexander came, he could make his army ready, though virtually it was not united, but he could make them united. That unity is there in India. So what was lacking was exactly what Professor Gopinathan ji said. We have not united and dropped into the, probably I should not use the word lower caste and higher caste, untouched, resourceful, productive, human power which we had. We have not reached them the education, we have not improved them, we have not given them sufficient. Even today, that is the situation. Just now, before this, I had a seminar on people from Konkan region. Konkan railway is very famous, we connect Bombay to Kerala. But that land, there are small villages. I was asking them whether you have seen the movie Cycle, which is actually shooted in that place. They have not even seen. I was talking to them, and there was one private tuition center who was hosting this program. I was asking them, you don't have to teach them maths, physics, chemistry. What you should teach them is how to apply in different institutions. Because we have not reached this mechanism of application filling. Children are not exposed to different avenues available in the world. They are closed with their eyes what the teachers are saying. They don't even know that we had one great Dalapate who invented aircraft here. I was asking, I said, it is your land, beta, and you should know that it came from your land. So we have not even told our new generation what India had. So it is not that Dr. TPS don't take pride of what heritage we had. We have to take them to all the people, and also the educated people who think that these are the two great people and quote them wrongly. We had great things, but then we should only use our own Indian people who understood this and what invented from our knowledge. Maybe National Informatics Center, if you look at Indian scientific heritage, you can see right picture of what India had. If anyone you have not seen, you should see that. And that can be used for propagating knowledge. Wrongly, by mistake, just, I am sure Max Muller has come. He must have met a few people who are all great, knowledgeable people. He must have been given nice food by great kings. So, and that too, I will tell you, he was actually a person of the Britishers' employer. Probably he must have seen when the Britishers came to have a colony, he would have come in a different angle to see what can be done to loot India. But his generic nature of looking at sexology and occult science, the religious practices, which was not at all very good in the system in India. Therefore, I am sure in the modern world what we have, just because my father made a deep well in which we used to fetch water in my childhood, I need not do that today. I like to have a motor pump or maybe a bore well which may give me a better water. So there is nothing wrong in getting into technology. And I am sure this is the land where many saints have come. And all of them have given lot of knowledge. We are supposed to learn from everybody and understand what is that we require. What happens most of the time, we follow one very specific group. You go to Sai Baba group, there is a group. We go to somebody else, there is a group. We go to Maharashtra, there is a cult of group. You go to Gujarat, we have a different group. Now, like religion, like a different caste system, the ashram system also has come into different branches. They don't even talk to each other. They compete each other. I am sure, even I am confused. I'm 100% sure maybe the younger generation is more confused. That's why they lost this faith of all this. Locally also we have great people. Earlier, as Gopinath ji was telling, we used to have an Ashan, and whatever he learned made us. I was also taught by an Ashan to write kaka kaka. But that doesn't mean I will follow him throughout my life to learn higher mathematics. I will leave him at his level. Maybe grade 1 I was taught by one guru. But when I grow higher, I will go to a different level. I think that system we had. Even in the kingly ruling time, the children of the kings were sent from one ashram to another ashram to another ashram. It is not that Lord Krishna only learned from ashram. But then practical movement, he equipped himself with the learning by himself. Otherwise, he would have not gone and joined in ashram along with other students. And he did all the household work of his guru. So I am sure a guru's role is there. But that doesn't stop you to become blind. You have to open up, learn from everywhere, and that wisdom, I'm sure it is not that everybody learns everything from everywhere. There are few people who learn from different practices, get into different structures. Therefore, we have that ability, and I feel that is what is to be propagated. And that is what I do to most of the youngsters when I speak to them. Don't limit yourself with one school of thought. Don't limit yourself. Otherwise, Jain will say Jain is the greatest. Maybe Sikh will say Sikh is the greatest. Muslims will say Muslims are the greatest. We cannot even question them. Because their faith, their belief, that is the great. It is like my mother is the best beautiful lady in the world. But I must also admit that the Rani of Jaipur was the most beautiful. Understood? Nothing wrong. When I feel proud of my mother's beauty, that doesn't mean I will not appreciate somebody's beauty also, right? So there are great things. We also have to learn Christianity. We also have to learn. I also went to many churches and attended prayers. I tried my level best. Not in India, they don't permit. But when I go abroad, I visit most of the mosques and sit with the Maula there. Understand their culture. Understand. Last time when I went to US, I went to most of the Sardarji's places. They give beautiful food. They take care of. They keep it neat and clean. They tell their stories. You have questions, you can ask them. They will explain everything. But I don't think when you go to a temple in India, you ask the priest about the Veda, he will say, I don't know. Because he was only trained to do some very specific ritualistic. He is like a mechanical shop who don't understand the engine, how does it work, but he can repair it. So it is our own fault that we are not given this education to everyone. So that I believe that, I always say that education is more important, learning is more important, teaching is important. I remember when I met my guru, I could speak to him because I had learned sufficient enough in a position to talk to him at some level where he is understanding, oh, this man can understand most of the things. If I did not do my LKG, I would not have become very, very close friend of my guru. I could say that I was very close to Swami Vedabharati. That is because I have gone to my primary education from somebody else. So I always believe that is where probably you may consider that I am questioning. It is not questioning. I believe in educating people, asking logic questions, and have critical analysis of what you do. Yukti yuktam upadeyam vachanam balagadavi anyatranamavatyajyam apyuktam brahmagadavi. Logically, you should ask question, and if you find it illogical, you must tell that this is useless, bogus, I am not with you. So most of the time we find illogical activities, illogical preachings. Therefore, what happened 200 years back, what happened maybe 1000 years back, we don't even have a history to talk. I was telling yesterday about Mahabharata war, where it happened. It cannot be in Kurukshetra. Logically, theoretically, it cannot be, because there are great books written on the war scenario, how it was, the war array was made. That place is not good enough. So you may have to go from maybe nearly 200 kilometers. That is the distance we want. So that is the logic which we apply and ask question, is it believable? Is it mythology? Yesterday I was mentioning about Peter Brook's movie, because when they look at this is how they depict it. So these are all poetical. Our Vedas are also poetical. I am sure that part of what is interesting to Max Muller, he has taken and depicted. That's only what I feel. I thought I will not ask questions, but these are my small comments on that. I know that I am not as educated or knowledgeable as Professor Gobind. He is much more senior to me. Much more. I will tell you, my eldest brother was almost 70 years old. He is that contemporary. He had a lot of years of experience. I am only a small person, but I believe I could ask few questions and understand and learn. I read enough on Max Muller, so when we quoted Max Muller, I thought I should make this comment. Thank you. If you have something to add and then educate me, I'll be more than glad to do that. And probably others could also add some points if you wanted.
So this is because uh, this Max Muller, in between I told you that his mission was to make room or prepare the ground for the propagation of Christianity and belittle Indian culture and subjugate Indian culture. That everybody knows. But in that process, he understood the richness of Indian culture, spirituality, and he wrote to the Britishers that it is not easier to subjugate India until and unless the root of this wisdom is cut, and that way it is being destroyed. And moreover, we find that hundreds of great Europeans who not only sought to assimilate the greatest wealth of Indian wisdom and got amazed and made a lot of citations, and because it is our very, very, very sad thing, we need to quote these people to highlight Indian wisdom these days. It is a greatest, pathetic situation in India. Sorry.
I'll tell you, the problem is I was just talking, I was just talking, but just now if I type Max Muller India, I get 2 paragraphs. I just did that. One of the founders of the Western academic field of Indian studies was born on December 6, 193 years ago. I don't know when this was written article. Max Muller believed that it would be Indians' fault if Christianity don't step in because of the ancient religion of India was doomed at that time. So I can't take this as a positive statement. Second one, another one. On August 25, 1866, Max Muller wrote to Chevalier Bazin, India is much riper for Christianity than Rome or Greece. Where at the time of St. Paul, this is what it says. So what happens is, when a person from an ashram, or by mistake if Dr. TPS quotes Max Muller, and maybe Krishna or Vaishnavi, a youngster, or Anusha goes and looks at it, what respect those people will have to this ashram? What respect those people will have to Indian Hinduism? This is the mistake what I am saying.
So, yes,
we should not, when this is what the problem is. We should have a clear view of that person. I'll tell you, I was doing this to the younger generation also. Yesterday I was in a program in Kannur. Somebody said Dr. T.P. Shashikumar is a great speaker. Immediately after the introduction was over, I called that girl and then asked, tell me one point which you learned from Dr. T.P. Shashikumar so far. So she said, I heard one lecture was forwarded to me. I said, I am not asking how many lectures forwarded to you. People only forward things without even reading. I am posting that video without editing. I'll tell you, people should be having some content in them, telling that yes, I have gone through. Then only they see. I should not blah blah about Professor Gopinathan sir. I know you, therefore I speak. If there are many speakers who came here, I said I don't know anything about them. You start telling about you. This is what I do myself. So when I quote somebody, this is what the confusion. I am saying the younger generation of today is really confused. We are adding confusions than making them giving clear views. That is what the failure is. Earlier we did it at probably the higher educated, we call it educated as highest, uneducated as lowest say. This is what has happened. I will tell you our textbook. I will give one of the examples because we are talking about the up and down. When I was in cabinet secretariat, one of my colleague who was junior to me, he is from Tamil Nadu, Kerala Tamil Nadu border. One day he came and asked me, sir, I am in total confusion. What should I do? My son is studying in one of the big international schools in Delhi. He did not declare his caste there because you don't want. He feel ashamed of declaring his caste because he is from a lower stratum of what we call it as lower stratum, Avarna, not Savarna. But then in the classroom, there was a textbook in which it says there are tribals, SC, ST people, and the teacher explains they are untouchables. And those time, but even today we can see such people. If once somebody makes that such a statement, I am also coming from such a village. We had those people who looks totally black, except their eye, white port, everything, and the teeth, everything is black. They don't even have a white hair because they don't even grow. They are all that. And this man came and told me, my son is telling, next time when I go for vacation to Kerala, Tamil Nadu border, those people can be seen. That is what the teacher says. And you can see also in the coastal Andhra Pradesh, Orissa border you can see. And this son is asking the father, my colleague, next time when we go to Kerala, Papa, you should give me a chance to meet such people. I want to touch them once. And you know which caste this fellow belongs to who is talking? He himself is an SC/ST reserved candidate. And he never opened up this message to his children because they don't want themselves to be feel in the society little down. They don't want reservation. They want to show the status. Now what he will do? He says, every day my son is sleeping with such SC/ST, and he wanted, and that reservation gave him a job. He gave on to a bigger status. So there are people who don't know, they hide these aspects. We are not able to open up to the next generation and tell that you don't have to become deprived of having facilities just because you are lower. Just because you are lower, you don't have to feel upset about it. I am not a Brahmin, I don't have a cross belt. But I go to different temples, and then when I enter into place where only cross belt people can enter, my guru was stopped and asked, he said, my son, do you have any objection? My guru was talking about me and I was taken inside. Nobody could question because he had that power of knowledge. So we have even today that barrier where you can enter, where you cannot enter. We are living such a system. But then education should be told to them and say that change has happened in India. That is why we have a hunter who became a Muni. That is why we have a OBC like Krishna. I think the whole story of Mahabharata is to tell that Krishna was a OBC, Lalu Prasad Yadav's great grandfather. He could also become a guru for the whole world. That is good enough. Is it not a great message we can spread? One, that role model is good enough. Why we should, that culture, that message is what we are supposed to take only, what I am saying. So if somebody is quoting, I am sure Dr. TPS is not for that. I speak about Max Muller, but I will tell there are quotations available, don't believe. If you want to learn Indian culture, look at maybe Chanakya, you look at Charvaka, you can look at mythological characters of India, and look at what others, how they were looking at India also you should learn. So
I agree, but these are minor things.
Correct. I understood. No, I am saying the confusion in the younger.
Yeah.
That's only what I am saying.
Okay. Yeah, our main confusion lies not there. Our main confusion is we don't have a focus. We don't know anything about religion, spirituality. We don't know anything about the Guru.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know how to make a right choice in our life. We say that our intelligence and rationality are the good guides. So the whole modern civilization, Western civilization, is grounded on that premise. The brilliant materialist knowledge system, very meticulous brilliance they have. They made all these things based on that. And in India, what I wanted to propose is that when I tell you that we need knowledge empowerment, not reading Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita or Puranas or a little bit science and then transmitting this knowledge to younger generation, this will not serve any purpose. Because in the last 2000 years, a very large number of great acharyas came to this land. Madhvacharya, then Ramana Maharshi, then Ramanuja, Vallabha, like that they all tried, sacrificed their life to do away with this greatest social injustices in Indian society. Read all their systems, philosophies, teachings. They tried their level best to, because the greatest hurdle in the way of Indian development, not only in economic terms, in any terms, it is this social segregation which has drained out all dynamism of Indian society and strength. And all because once there is unity, why Christianity developed even materially? Why Islam developed? Because there is that unity of religion. Though there are divisions based in Christianity, find today hundreds of divisions. Islam, we find hundreds of divisions. It is not like the caste system in India. Therefore, all these great people, because all our social rules and laws that govern, even today, this religion, the religious legitimacy is attributed to all our beliefs, social norms, rules, etc. in Indian villages. Whatever they are done are being legitimized, it is divine or godly ordained, something like that. Therefore, we don't have a unity of emotional unity, we don't have a mental unity, we don't have unity in any realms of our life. Therefore, then in order to bring about this unity, if we tomorrow onwards, suppose that we start teaching Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Mahabharatam, then in the light of modern science, suppose that we vividly explain it, illustrate it, do we think that we can break this barriers, cultural barriers embedded in our genetic system, in our worship system? Everywhere it is historically ingrained. That is why these great teachers could not do. After Chankaracharya, after Madhva, they were also confined to their separate that sect. Even Kerala, Narayana Guru is held in esteem. All over India, he is held in esteem. But Narayana Guru is worshipped only by the Yadavas. We also admire, because his greatest contributions to Indian spirituality, philosophy, and social reformation, Narayana Guru, it was greatest. But when come to things, all other castes consider only Yadava people worship Narayana Guru as a guide or a god or something like that. This is, all the Indian society, we even today we find this scenario, and all our initiatives in the politics, society, everywhere, this is still guiding us, the guiding factor in all our social life, cultural life. Therefore, in order to break this scenario, not just dissemination of this knowledge technically, we need how a person like me or you or another person can enhance one's consciousness from another level. Only when it is elevated to another level, this ingrained, this impulses, propensities that are being ingrained in our system will be vanished or relegated. So this only in the presence of such a great Acharya Guru, his presence that itself will, we read about Buddha, great masters, in their transforming presence, several people got inner transformation. We are talking of this inner transformation. Unless and until we are able to ignite this inner transformation in Indian people, there will not be no cultural renaissance, cultural awakening. But in a scholarly level, we can say that this is good. Everybody will say that this is good. Next day, all the high caste Brahmins will join together, because this is very because very advantageous to be a Brahmin. No need to be a Brahmin. They are in the highest pedal. All the advantages without being asked, everything is available to them. The lower caste, they feel that this is something ordained by religion and scriptures, and they only want to have share in power, not the demolition or this or that. Their practices, religious practices are very very low. The lower caste, even they are told they will not change those devilish practices which are being done in the name of God. So such things are rampant in Indian society. In order to break these things, just dissemination. I am not belittling dissemination of knowledge. It is more important. That should be the first step. In our coming 13th and 14th cultural nationalism, in the theme note I have written, all the temples, because in India there are thousands of temples and worship centers. These temples and worship centers should be converted into knowledge centers, centers of cultural renaissance, not just practicing rituals and all these superstitions. Because Hindu population, which constitute more than 80%, once it is cleansed, India is saved. And these temples can be converted into the dissemination centers of this great wisdom. That this I am going to put up before all this Ramadava and all these people who will assemble on that day. And just to say, because then we have to differentiate between, because I told you, gurus are, we call everybody, because in our eyes everybody is same. TPS is different from Einstein, and you are different from other scientists. No, because all this, they are at different gradations of their knowledge acquisition and assimilation and understanding. The gurus are at different. Only when I came to Shandagiri, I knew the spiritual secret of all these things. Otherwise, we will say that all should go to ashrams. All ashrams are right. We should take knowledge from anybody and everybody. But Navajyothi Sri Karunagari Guru teaches the greatest harm done to Indian spirituality and philosophy is that Chadurvakyas, which all the Indian scholars, philosophers, spiritualists consider as the greatest contribution of Indian spirituality. What are those Chadurvakyas? Aham Brahmasmi, I am Eva Brahmam, I am Atma Brahmam. One more is there. Guru said that this was the greatest harm. This was the greatest harm done to, because when Satyatrana, the greatest Atmajnani, who took birth in 3rd Chaduryuga of 7th Manvantara, when he uttered these 4 Chadurvakyas, it invoked a curse from Brahma Prakasha. Because never a greatest Guru, even if he fully evolved, he should not say that he is Brahman. He can never be Brahman. He is only a tool in the, even the greatest Gurus, they are only a tools in the hands of that greatest Brahman, or that the only transcendent. Because Satyatrana found that in all realms, everything, his Atma Prakasha is seen. He found in all karmas, in all beings, his Atma Prakasha. He was such an evolved Guru. Then seeing that, because there is a great history behind this. This is called the first mistake, first error. Never, only from Guru in 1973, such a knowledge came to humanity regarding this first error in this spirituality. So that invoked this curse, and this curse we find as the greatest thing in spirituality, and the Guru said it was the greatest harm, because that time we can never be Brahman, we can never be God, we can attain, we can merge with that ocean, but a cup of water can never become ocean. So actually, therefore, only from such evolved, because only such a Guru is the one who has traversed through different spiritual paths found in any religion. There are Devi Marga, Deva Marga, Rishi Marga, Dhatu Marga, hundreds of spiritual margas are there. In Christianity we find another margas, in Islam we find. A person who has transcended, traversed all these paths and realized, we find that Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna realized Christu. If we read his biography, at a particular time, he realized Christu. He realized Navi. He realized Krishna. Now I am telling, but how far it is spiritually correct, I don't know. Because how that can, in its total sense, be true or not. But I am saying, so therefore a person who has traversed and attained that totality, immersed, merged, then such a soul or spirit come back, take birth. Guru says such a person alone can be a guide to humanity, to steer humanity out of all these complexities in spirituality, religion and material life. Therefore, when we make a choice, one of the fundamental thing I will just refer and then I will finish, because we have our own prakriti. Each and every human being has got its own intrinsic nature, prakriti. Mother nature has got its own intrinsic nature, prakriti. Cosmic order has its own prakriti, intrinsic nature. If human thoughts and living are not in accordance with his own intrinsic nature, then he will, in course of time, his body will got by diseases, illness, because his food habits, his living style, all are in not. That is why Sharira Dharma. If that Sharira Dharma, a person is unable to understand his own interest. That is why this sometimes there is one guru in TV we find Jaggi Vasudev. Once I listened to him say, there is a user manual. And we are not reading this user manual, and we are just doing everything. I am not quoting that same way, because what I get from that, there is an intrinsic nature. According to that intrinsic nature, if we are not living, we will be inflicted by diseases, all these things. If we are not understanding the intrinsic nature, prakriti of mother nature, all these ecological calamities, everything will occur. If we are not understanding intuitively what is the laws behind the cosmic order, all these things will happen. Therefore, who will teach you the intrinsic, because we are at the bottom level, who will teach you what is the intrinsic nature of your Sharira, mother nature? Therefore, you should live accordingly. All your material life, way of life, your activities, behaviors should be in accordance with such rules and practices. Who will teach us? There arises the need of such a realized Guru. This is Guru. This is guidance. He is a facilitator of promote your inquisitiveness, that is seeking. You are promoting your consciousness. So, such several things are there which I got from this place, which others are never. I sure such a mysterious mystery in spiritual life, spiritual pursuit, nobody has unraveled. Even if all the scriptures are read, studied, you will not find such unheard incidents and facts in spirituality which has hampered the spiritual progress, enhancement of humanity and people. Sorry, I don't know what others could understand from my this.
Yeah, I think if anybody has got, generally myself and professor used to stay together. We had a lot of deliberations. I heard him talking this most of the places. So I don't have any questions. That's why I said I will not have question. But then I couldn't stop. If anybody has got any questions or comments or clarifications, yes, you are welcome. Maybe for students of physics like Vaishnavi and Krishna and all, maybe it's something new. They must not have exposed to these philosophical lectures most of the time, I think. Anybody who want to? Vignesh is there, Rupa, Lakshmi Prasad, Anusha is there, Arvind, Gopalakrishnan. Gopalakrishnan ji. Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, any questions you could ask?
No, no, sir, because we have so many versions of Guruji's preachers, why cannot we don't have a unified system of thinking in these Guruji's versions, various
See,
versions.
if you look at computer programming, there are many languages. If you look at the dish which we have, there are many. If somebody say only porridge is the best, don't eat anything else, that is not correct. That's only what I said. Everybody has their own taste. When you talk about nature, in nature, not every flower is same color. We don't even have one fruit for everybody, right? So we should accept these are all part of that. But because I like kanji, I cannot say kanji is the best food in the world. Everybody has their own taste. That is why, if you look at Christianity, they will say Christ told they are the best. If you believe anything else, you will be out of this. You go to Naraka. Naturally, it is because that is my faith. That is what I am saying. But that is not Hinduism as per.
We should learn and first
That's it.
before we make observations real. In real sense, we should study. Because then recently I listened to a discussion between doctors, homeo doctor, this allopathy doctor, Ayurveda. This modern medicine doctor will never
Agree with
homeo doctor. Homeo doctor asked, have you read any one book in homeo? You say modern medicine is difficult. How many medicines are out there and this band in 5 years, hundreds of medicines are banned. Then you say that it is scientific.
No,
What the scientificness has brought all this calamity.
no, that is there in
We say
physics.
that physics
Even in
has progressed, everything.
even in physics, I'll tell you.
For common man, what it is protein.
Even in physics, in the modern world, when you look at it,
Of all these things,
even in scientific field, there are still people who believe Earth is flat, and there are great professors learned from great universities still propagating it. So we can't stop them. If you listen to them, you feel it is totally logical.
sir, it is true that it is logical to your instrumental rationality, it is logical. But beyond this instrumental rationality, there are different dimensions in this universe, in this environment. We are not opened up to that dimensions because we believe we are conditioned, totally conditioned. Therefore, we think that there are less people to logically and convincingly speak about spirituality. When people speak about spirituality, they quote Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, this and that. They say that this is. It is not spirituality. It is another science, very meticulous, very highly developed science that our people are never learning. That is why we find that we say that physics is higher, chemistry is higher. It is higher because through our another intelligence, human intelligence, we are unraveling the same realities which other people unravel through other sources. Is there anything higher than these ancient
Professor, because Gopalakrishnan ji asked why there are different paths, I am only saying everybody looks at it different. There are different paths. That's only what I said. We can't overnight. We cannot change this.
That I admit there are because when we speak on the basis of our experience. Because Gopalakrishnan sir, any scholar will say that because it is society. I also will say that there are 100 paths, 100 people, 100 theories. I cannot say that any one theory is bad or incorrect.
That's
but
all.
I am saying that there are higher dimensions beyond that correctness. That are correct. But beyond that, also, there is higher dimensions of truth that we are not making any effort to unravel. This is the problem.
But the problem is, Professor Gopinathan ji, everybody thinks they have the highest and that is that the truth is. Somebody else think, because it's like a taste in your food. I say chicken biryani is good, somebody else say vegetable biryani is good. Both are good for their own. So I cannot say this is the best, you should eat that only and that is the best in the world. That is there in everything.
That
That's
is experience. That is experience.
That is everybody
One
say.
should devote. That's Subha sir. Therefore, one should dedicate his life to taste different.
See,
these dishes.
I will tell you, Gopinath ji, one of the greatest Bhagavatam expert in Kerala, who was preaching for 60 years in his life, at the end of the life he said, these are all stupid, I don't even believe in this. Can you say that's a realization? There are a lot of people who are not God believers, at the end of their life they become God believers. Both are possible.
Sir, in Gita there is a words. The Gita is the text book in the spirituality I find. Javastavo Vrudam Tirtham. Not only that, before that there is one word. Veda Shastra Puranani Idihasadi Kamija Mantra Yandradi Vithyana Vidhichadanagyam. The meaning is that even if you study all the Vedas, Upanishadus, Shastras, Puranas, Vichadanam, Agamam, Nigamam, if you practice all the mantras, Tavam, everything, these are immaterial because these are Abharavidya. These are all Abharavidya. This will not enlighten you. Only when you go into Abharavidya, you will get enlightenment and you will have a discriminative understanding of what is right and what is wrong. Therefore, our greatest problem is that we never is opened up to this stream of Paravidya, not a little. We are at this scholarly level. We look at Bhagavad Gita, we look at Bhagavatam, Ramayana, everything with a scholarly, intellectual perspective we have. We never have that intuitive perspective. Therefore, we are unable, then scholars always can tell like this, speak like this, because that is fundamental. That is right also. To a scholar, it is right also. Therefore, there is such an aspect, this Paravidya, India had that stream of Paravidya that we have totally lost. That Paravidya is being initiated in Shantigiri. So in our children, you will amaze. Children they have got this intuitive power, visionary, spiritual vision in Shantigiri. You will amaze, but it is not a miracle in Shantigiri. It is a miracle in scientific world because you can see the history of the past history, several things with nature, universe. How can you believe it? It is still available or it is still achievable because we are endowed with such faculties. Each human being is endowed with such faculties. That faculty is to be awakened and guided and directed. That is never taken place for the last thousands of years in India. That such a guidance or directions are absent. Therefore, my humble submission is that everything is same, not everything right, not everything can be truth. There is only one truth. There cannot be half truth. There cannot be one-third truth. These are all certain scholarly, formulations in our Siddhantas. See, all the Siddhantas in Hindu religion, whatever these they have written, in a decorative language, they write everything and make it godly and poor people believe it. So such things are there. Don't get irritated when I say that there cannot be several truths. There can be only one truth.
Gopalakrishnan ji, you got the answer or? Yeah.
I got the answer. Then I have something to highlight again.
Yeah.
So recently, during this pandemic COVID, the modern medicine doctors totally blaming homeopathy and Ayurveda. They say these two are actually they are no good enough for even to control the pandemic or to cure the disease. But how can our government is spending lots of rupees and we have professional homeopathic medical colleges, Ayurveda medical colleges bring education and coming out some doctors, the Ayurveda and the homeopathy. But still the modern medicine people, they are breaking something in the ethics in the homeopathy and the Ayurveda. They are not good enough for to treat the disease. That means they are condemning the way of our professional education. They indirectly condemning the other professional. That means our government spending, the same government spending for the modern medicine, same government spending for the homeopathy, same government spending for the Ayurveda. But they are blaming openly that Ayurveda and the homeopathy is nothing. What is the modern medicine is only the thing. That means our professional medical practice ethics is going there.
Yeah, Professor Ji, you have any answer for this? I think this is what I am saying. Every homeopathy doctor thinks what he learned is the best. Whatever the learned by Ayurveda, he says he has got medicine for everything. Whatever allopathy learned, he also says that he has got medicine because that's what he learned. He did not learn the other one. But that is why government also has got a few experts. After BA, MS, you can also take an MBBS. Reserved seats are there. Because we want a unified learning. We have got Himalayan tradition. I was mentioning the other time, Guruji Dilip Ji wanted to have a combined medical system. I was telling Himalayan tradition, Swami Rama started a medical college where the so-called great Swamijis also go there for treatment when they become sick. They sell medicine to somebody else. When they become sick, they go there. And that place we have got homeopathy, Ayurveda, allopathy and Siddha medicine. Most of them are combinedly working there. But it needs a unification process. That needs lot of accepting others. That is getting happened. That's only what I am saying. But
Why
as
not
a
if,
government will not, because government doesn't want. Just because somebody is learning mathematics, I say mathematics can solve a lot of the problems. Physics people say I know more mathematics than mathematicians because I am applying mathematics.
but if individually they are focusing, then what is the conclusion for the people?
So that is why I am saying we have to have a learning process. Maybe you have to reach at the highest level in the university level to understand everything is required in this world. Otherwise,
That means the faculties to be unified. The faculties to discuss each other.
yeah, because
and come out with a solution.
Bhagavad Gita, after that, Krishna himself told Arjuna, Ananda Shastram Bahu Vedidavyam Alpascha Kale Bahuvascha Vigno. There are a lot of variety of knowledge. You have only little time to learn. What is actually required for you, learn and then live. That's good enough. The solution was that. If it gives you a conditional life, accept it.
A holistic approach. Because we have started a holistic approach. The modern medicine, Ayurveda, Siddha, Homeo, all the doctors sit together and they have to, they have to be very vast mind, and then only they can admit, because there is no cure no cure to all diseases in a particular system. No cure. This firstly they have to understand. Because each system, the philosophical foundation of all these things are different. Therefore, artificially we cannot unify more this and that. But they have to have an basic understanding that there are to specific diseases in other systems than in their system. This is a matter of discussion, as Kumar sir has pointed out. So we have an experiment in strategy in this aspect.
Yeah, Dilip ji, you could unmute if you want to. You are showing hand.
Actually,
Yeah,
if somebody is sleeping, easy to wake them up. Somebody pretend to sleep, very hard to wake them up. Politicians, they play different games. They know what is the truth. Even the first day, ministers announce Homeo is good, Ayurveda is good. After one day, they are all keep few months because of the money, right? Funding is needed for the party. Every single party in India is corrupted. What is it? It's not Indian culture, you know. I'm openly saying every single party in India is corrupted. Why is that? This is not a proper way to serve the community. We should serve the community with full love and care. That's the part we had to work on it. We had to educate children with the Yama and Nema. Otherwise, full chaos is going to happen in the future. Corona will come, it will go, next one will come, it will go, next one will come. Every year, last 20 years, we see different viruses are coming up because of the research. The name of research, we think we are modernized. This is not modernized. We are ignored. You know?
Same thing is happening in education. We don't have a unified syllabus. IIT another one type of syllabus, NIT another type of syllabus. When deemed university have their own syllabus, they making their question paper, they evaluating their paper. Then how can a unified education system here?
And even
Everywhere
they
something is.
will make the answer and give to the students.
Then saying everybody is reported by somebody. So
Actually-
our education system also malpracticed by this way. Our health education also damaging. Then social activities also, you see so many companies using the CSR fund. Various types of things we know. Not maybe it is social demand.
See?
It is they're diverting the money to some other way.
Gopalakrishnan ji, everything is business. Spirituality is a big business. Ashram is a big business. Education is a big business. Medical science is a big business. Politics is the biggest business.
Then who will govern us? Who will give the good governor?
That is why we need, that is what we want. We want youth who is educated well, understand everything. Probably all these elderly people should retire. The next generation, we have some scope.
Sir, even the youth, we want to bring up the proper way, but the thing is, different thinking, different syllabus, different way of activations. In each and every state, they're making their own way. Then how our youth, coming youth is coming to a unified way. Unless they come to the national level in a unified way, we are not going to be fulfill our demands, you know. It will still struggle. Firefighting, I am saying firefighting.
See, that young, I didn't mean me and Gopalakrishnan ji and all are is old. See, so far, all these 10 days, Gopalakrishnan ji was sitting without talking. But today he woke up, he started talking. That is the success of this, what India needs. We want people who are silent like you, sitting all these 10 days when there was dash and bash also. He was just sitting and watching. But today he woke up. That is what we want. We want such people to wake up.
No, sir, because when I am, since starting from the day, I am listening. Who talking is what talking? Are they coming to a concluded point, or they are diverting the diverting main thing into other place? All the people talking their own way, but they are not coming into a conclusion. We need a conclusion for all this. Otherwise, this type of process is going on. Our young generation is what I can say mishandled.
Yeah, that is why I said we are adding more confusions into the younger generation. We need to have, we don't have even a single message to tell them. That is where we are failing. Therefore, everybody keeps their own version. They are confused. What is to be heard? What is right? What is wrong? They are not able to separate them.
So why cannot we start a syllabus in every school and colleges, or even for religious faith or religious beliefs?
Then again, at least today, Muslims knows only Muslim. They don't know anything else. They are at least believing it. Christians have got their own school. They are teaching. Now, if you start everything to everybody, everybody will become. That is what Dilip ji is trying. The interfaith is not to teach everybody everything. You can have different knowledge, but stay united in your activities ahead without spoiling time on finding fault with somebody else. We are wasting our energy to find fault with somebody else. That's only what I am saying. In spirituality also, that is what is happening. In politics also, instead of involving in nation building activity, their energy is only spending criticizing the other fellows. In ashrams also what happens, if you ask one ashram fellow, he will talk, oh, every ashram is bad, mine is the best. That is where the problem is. If you ask a religious fellow, he will say, that's only what I said. We must understand chemistry is also good, physics is also good, maths is also good. Instead of doing research in mathematics, if I start finding what is wrong in chemistry and physics, neither my maths will grow, nor I am contributing anything to anybody else. That is why I said we are confusing people instead of allowing them to learn everything in equal. The aim, that is what we want. We want people to have the choice of what they want to learn. Once you get into some level, start learning something else also, and then accept what is good in that.
That means our beliefs, so many type of faiths and beliefs,
It's
but
good.
beliefs and faiths, if come to in a streamline with the latest science version, then everybody will believe. Otherwise, it will sometimes superstitious.
See, somebody asked me, why do you have different courses, different colleges? Once upon a time, USSR decided we don't even have the variety of soap, we will only have one soap. But the whole world is entirely different. You cannot close them. That is what is called the black curtain type. You cannot have a blanket and then say that the whole world is different and you have to only look here. But then next day when you see around the world, you will start hating your own parents. You will say, why you did not open up to the other world? That is what will happen.
You see that?
Therefore, we cannot have a small island when every other place is connected to each other. We should also connect and then see how the world is going around. Then you should have that capacity to understand this is their view, but I should have my view very strong. Without strong view, if I go somewhere else, I will get attracted. After living 50 years, if I go to somebody and somebody says, mine is the best soap, so far you have used is the wrong one. If somebody says, pizza is the best food, rice food is not good, kanji you should not eat, oh, tomorrow onwards I will become pizza. That is not correct. That's only what I am saying. Let us be what we are, but also accept when somebody else eats a different food, that is their taste, let them also have it. Let me have another discussion where we are uniquely work together for the society where they are required. We need not look
This
for...
is another example.
Yeah.
Another example, our banks, operating so many nationalized banks, other private banks, different charges. But the service they are rendering is same. But different charges, different filing system. That means for the same purpose, different ways with the knowledge of our government, everything is moving.
Good. Let us be happy about what it is. Yeah, anybody else who has got any other points? Any other points? Otherwise, we will call it a day. एकता स्वतंत्रता समानता रहे, एकता स्वतंत्रता समानता रहे, देश में चरित्र की अमानता रहे, समानता रहे, रंग है अनेक चित्र एक राष्ट्र का. Then I don't remember. खंड है अनेक शब्द एक राष्ट्र का. See, there are different thoughts, but let us all talk about one Rashtra. There are different colors, but that colors let us make a beautiful painting. There are different paragraphs. Let us make a beautiful article. There are different letters. Let us make a beautiful poetry out of it. So the world is variety. That is the beauty of India. Why you need to have 30 different varieties of dishes? When you eat Rajasthani food, you get beautiful different colors of. Why only one eat? Why? Let us have all these colors. No, accept that.
So we have an IPC code. IPC code all over India is the same. Then why should we cannot be a...
No, you are wrong. You are totally wrong. It is not IPC alone which is ruling this country. We have CRPC, we have IPC, we have tort which is never written. The judge decides what is the rule of that place. That's called a tort. So tort is beyond IPC.
That is unified, correct? So all over India, it all unified.
No, that is why each judge gives a verdict. That verdict becomes a rule of tomorrow. That's why V.R. Krishna Iyer is great. He made a lot of verdicts which became rules of tomorrow. All the rules keep changing. That's why we have got so many parliaments, assembly. They make state rule, the union makes union rule. So it is not same. Every day it is being changed. It is not one rule which India is following. Every day it is a dynamic rule. Rule is dynamic.
Okay, I agree. But the important thing is, see, what the district session judge give up one verdict. For the same IPC or same CPRPC, High Court judge is giving another version of judgment.
That's only what I said.
Coming to full bench, another judgment.
That's what I said.
We are diluting everything. We are diluting.
That is interpretations. That let us have that discussion some other time. I think we should have give options.
Okay, sorry.
No issue. I thought we'll stop at 9 o'clock in case if there
So
is.
I think we are concluding.
We'll conclude. Yeah, maybe.
Are we concluding?
Yeah, maybe some small remarks from you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dilip can make only one. Yeah, please.
Yeah,
please.
Dr. Shuchita had. Yeah. Short.
Namaskar everyone. I just wanted to know how to stop the idea of Brahmanization. Always there is a problem. The society who are in the lower Varn Vyavastha, they want to climb the ladder to attain that Brahmanic order, which has been set in the society. What can be done? Can we see through ghar proxy or something like that? Or can we interact with people more, start having community fields? Or how can we unify Hindus? Because this is the biggest thing which is attracting people to other religions. I feel like that might be a wrong thing I may be asking, but I want an answer for that, because as an individual with numerous people around in my family, I find people want to be a Brahmin because it is Brahma, and that's something which is attracting people towards other religions also. Food is a parigraha should be there, and I have the answer for that corruption in India. A parigraha is the answer to all the problems, as I feel. I hope Guru Dilip ji will be agreeing to my point. When you stop show off and when you want to live in coordination and in harmony with everything around and accept whatever there is, you are less corrupt. So how can we come across and grow spiritually and stop that Brahmin wala idea, and what Brahmins should do to let others learn Hinduism or spirituality?
I think if there is a short one sentence answer from anybody, otherwise I think it's a big Pandora box. It's going to understand the whole concept of what is the difference between Varna and Jadi. It needs another big class.
That is, yeah.
So
Even then,
if you have learned, that is where you should understand Bhagavad Gita. Swabhava Prabhavair Gunai. The basic caste system was never on the birth, not on cross belt, never because your parents are so. That's why I mentioned also Krishna was a convert, Parashurama was a convert. Many people I can quote that they are all converted people. So there is nothing called by birth you are like this and by death you are like this. Jayate Shudra. Maybe at the time of death, if you gain that knowledge gaining is the Uttar Pradesh has to be active. If your Uttar Pradesh is active, you are a Brahmin. If power and position, therefore all politicians, even though they have taken Brahmin's birth, they are Kshatriyas only, because their basic is power, position, power, position. No Brahmins will do that. If you are looking at money and business, you are a Vaishya. If you are only enjoying, not think about no bank balance, no learning, no social service, no commitment in the world, you are a Shudra. That is how Bharatiya Shastra defined. Later people diluted and mode it, and now we are discussing about it. I don't know which caste, etc., etc., etc. belongs to me when they come and talk to me. I don't see them, which religion they belong to, which caste, which subcaste they belong to. I consider all of them equally good. At their level, whatever possible, I keep doing. That is what I believe is interfaith. That is where we shook hand with Dilip ji.
So let me make an observation.
Yeah.
When you see all the cash in our action, like
It's all in us. It's all in us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Professor Ji,
So
Gopinath.
until and unless we do away with the Hindu practice, because this caste system is entrenched in Hindu belief system, worship patterns and practices. Because it is the legitimacy is attributed to divinity and religion. That is why the lower caste, even if we ask them to avoid these devilish and practices, they are unable to do it. They consider it as divine. And this Bhagavad Gita, what Shashikumar sir said, later Acharyas came and said the same thing. One is not by birth, only by gunas, these are being determined. Never it will vanish until unless Hindu, that is why Ambedkar converted. Because he knew that so long as he continues in Hinduism, because all these practices, faiths legitimize, not in a real sense, but it is attributed. In real Vedas, Upanishads, there is no caste system as such. But later, vested interest Brahmins, it got condensed into a caste. It was all internal, these exercises got condensed. So that way, scriptures were rewritten, interpolations were brought in the Bhagavad Gita, which had only 300 slokas. Now there is 700 slokas. Who can tell you what is the interpolation in Bhagavad Gita? One point Sri Krishna says that you don't worship any of these things. Another point Sri Krishna says that even if you worship anything, ultimately you will come to me. No scholar can discriminate between these interpolations in Bhagavad Gita. That way all Shastras, scriptures are being interpolated in course of time by the interest. Practices accordingly were made. Therefore, only solution in my understanding is this present Hindu practices, faith systems promote this. Until and unless these are changed, caste system will not vanish in Hindu society. No legislation, no social movement, because there have been several great social movements in different parts of India against this. Now everything is being consolidated in one form or other, caste systems. People find it very, lucrative to bargain for power, sharing of power, this and that. So this is my observation in this respect. Thank you.
Yeah. Dilip ji, any point of words?
I'm just enjoying this dialogue because I know by birth the nature never gave us any religion. We are a chosen divine being on this earth. That thought itself is fruitful. Just celebrate each moment of our life rather than blaming and putting other people down. Make everyone as a brother and sister as equal power like us. That respect and love is necessary to promote the value of spirituality. That's the thing I believe in.
Guruji, but I have a counter question through my experience. I'm not. When we talk about caste system, people who are in the lowest of the strata, they also take upper, lower, upper. Why? How can we eradicate that thing?
That's what I said. We need to have a different colloquium on this.
Another discussion, another day.
Sir, okay.
Thank you.
Through the dialogue and educating people.
That's it.
What will happen in the past, we cannot live in that.
Can I add?
Yes.
Can I add something? Can I add something?
Yeah, short. Very do it.
Sir, okay. You please check. Last year our Home Minister in Parliament, when the personal and administrative minister was spoken on the Parliament, he says the position, that means the secretary position, your secretary position, and the deputy secretary positions in central government. So many of the vacancies still not filled. That vacancies actually belong to SD and SD.
I think these are all very minor matters. This is not in our purview of discussions. I think we should suspend it. So we'll call it a day and then get back tomorrow on this. Because I don't have an answer. I don't think anybody who is here can answer it to satisfy the public or even any political party. We cannot do that. This becomes only a counter argument sort of a thing. So
Yes, these are long way to go.
yeah, long way to go. We have no solutions. We don't even learn anything by discussing that.
Excuse me, sir. Can I have one small quote?
Yeah, one sentence.
One sentence. What I want to say is how sir was telling, celebration should not be limited to a particular occasion. Both like your very existence should be a celebration. So this is what is true thing.
Yeah, that is the difference between Dilip ji was not mentioning about happy joy. He was talking about bliss.
Bliss, okay.
Yeah, that is understood. That is understood.
Thank you, sir.
Good.
We should go beyond the material level.
Yeah, that's a good observation. That's a good observation. No confusions. Otherwise, only spirit will make you enjoyment. We are not talking about spirit enjoyment. We are talking about spirituality enjoyment. Thank you, Professor Gopinath ji. We enjoyed. Anyway, whenever we dialogue, we do this because it's all quite a bit of learning, pondering ourselves, looking at it in different angles. Namaste. Thank you. What India needs.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We need this
Thank you,
concern
thank
to
you.
be taken to the next generation where we should see the youngsters discussing in similar manner, maybe in the days to come. That's what we expect. Thank you. Good night. See you tomorrow 7:15 with somebody else.
Night, sir.